exclusive North Korea can target critical infrastructure in an advancing cyber program. In an exclusive interview with Express.co.uk, CNN military analyst Cedric Leighton detailed how Kim Jong-un's efforts in the cyber realm have the potential to be very damaging to a lot of countries. He said, "In Great Britain, the NHS attack was a clear indication that a country like North Korea could target the critical infrastructure of a country on the other side of the world, and it affected people's daily lives. I think we need to be very careful with North Korean offensive cyber capabilities, and this points to a very interesting development in warfare. Right now we look at the missile test as being indicative of what the North Koreans truly intends to do, but I would argue that while their primary intention is to have a nuclear program, something that gets them recognized as a co-equal power with the United States and with China and other major powers in the world. That's one aspect, but I think they also understand and have made very good use of the whole cyber domain, and what's interesting about this is it doesn't really take that much in terms of material and resources and frankly personnel, as long as you have the right kind and they have a degree of training that makes them effective as hackers. They can be very, very damaging to a lot of countries that have a much more highly developed internet connectivity than North Korea itself does." Mr. Leighton added that despite the average North Korean having limited internet access, the Reconnaissance General Bureau, Kim Jong-un's intelligence gathering network, is well equipped. He added, "The big irony is that North Korea's general population has very limited access to the internet or internet-like intranets that are developed in North Korea itself. But that has not prevented Pyongyang from developing a robust intelligence gathering effort as well as offensive capability under the reconnaissance of what they call their Reconnaissance General Bureau, which is their main intelligence service, and that effort has proven to be very potent." The military analyst also detailed the vulnerability of Western and Asian nations against a North Korea that has intelligently developed an asymmetric method of attack from its combination of military operations and cyber tactics. The former U.S. Air Force colonel went on, "So this is their effort at a kind of offensive military operations coupled with influence operations, and the other aspect about cyber is that it lends itself very well to being a potent asymmetric weapon against established countries. So countries like the United States, the UK, South Korea, Japan, they are much more vulnerable to attacks by even a small army of hackers, and the North Koreans realize this. So they, even if they don't have the resources that would make them a great power on paper, they can make life very, very miserable for more developed countries because they know what pieces of the critical infrastructure to target. So one day it is going to be the NHS, the next day it might be the MOD, so it's all those kinds of things put together. So if any actions were conducted against North Korea, we could very quickly see a concerted series of cyber attacks against critical infrastructure in many different nations. Certainly South Korea and Japan would be prime targets, but I also believe the United States and any country that supports the US and the UN against North Korea would probably see some cyber activity against it. So there will be a lot of efforts, and North Korea will not be a minor player when it comes to cyber warfare and the ability to actually affect our daily lives, and certainly the operations of military forces as well as government itself, and that could be a very dangerous and potent weapon that they could use." Mr. Leighton also detailed a link between North Korea's internet access and Russia's Vladivostok railway system that could see North Korean internet traffic and cyber attacks make its way past the country's borders. He explained, "The Russians, in fact, kind of related to the cyber side of things, they activated a fiber optic link that crosses their 14-mile border that they have with North Korea, and the one crossing is a railroad. Basically the line from Vladivostok goes from Vladivostok south to the North Korean border and then is picked up by the North Koreans, and when North Korea was sanctioned, and it was a previous round of sanctions, they basically shut off the internet except for one thing. The fiber optic links that were established using the Russian railroad system, they reactivated it for North Korea as well. So many of the things that come from, be it cyber attacks or just general internet traffic that may or may not come from North Korea, can find its way to the outside world through Russia, and that is something that could also be part of a broader plan that involves some dealings between different nations.